evening. Tonight, we are going to speak about a very important, prevalent topic: the dangers of being judgmental. In this week's Torah portion, it speaks about an individual who has saras, a sickness, and this individual is forced to leave the three camps of the Jewish people and wait until a week, and then if the saras, the sickness, has gone away, the Kohen proclaims him pure and he can return to the Jewish people. Now, what's fascinating is Maimonides, Rambam, who lived 800 years ago, he writes in his Mishnah Torah, he writes that only, exclusively, a Kohen, a priest, is the only individual who can proclaim the person smitten by saras, by this sickness, as tamei, impure. And Rambam clarifies this at great length. Rambam says, in order to understand if the person is impure, you have to be familiar with the different shades of this illness. What happens if the Kohen, this priest, is an ignoramus, and he doesn't know the different shades, he doesn't know what it constitutes saras and what doesn't? So what do? Rambam Maimonides says that the priest can defer to a Talmud Chacham, a great scholar. And the scholar who is familiar with the different shades of saras of the sickness, this Talmud Chacham, this sage, will tell the Kohen what to say. Now, this is amazing, because if it's all up to the Talmud Chacham and ultimately he's the one who decides, the Kohen, the priest, is merely the mouthpiece, then what do we need a Kohen for? He doesn't know the difference between the different shades of saras, of sickness. How is the Kohen the one who can only exclusively proclaim that the person must be banished from the Jewish camps? How is this? Wouldn't it make more sense to get a scholar to be the one? But the Torah says he is only impure. He only has to leave the camps if the Kohen, if the priest says he has to leave. The Rebbe explains very beautifully. The Rebbe says, although true, it is the sage, the Talmud Chacham's erudition that decides if in fact the individual has to leave, has to be banished from the Jewish camps. True. But you still must have a Kohen, a priest. Because if you are going to condemn someone, if you are going to say impure, you must leave in shame the Jewish people. We want and demand, says the Torah, that a Kohen, a priest, be the one to make this decision, to open up his mouth and say the person is impure. Why? Because Kohenim, priests, are ish hachesed, a man of kindness. Aaron, the original priest, his heart overflowed with rachmanis, with mercy on people. It was Aaron who brought peace between husband and wives who were quarreling, between the disputes of business partners. It was Aaron who absolutely went to every measure whatsoever he could to bring peace to the Jewish people. When Moses, the greatest man that ever lived, when he passes away, the Torah says that the men of Israel mourned for Moses for 30 days. But when Aaron passes away, the Torah says all of the Jewish people mourned for Aaron. You know why? Because Aaron had the love of even more degree than his illustrious brother who redeemed the slave nation from Egyptian bondage, who gave the Jewish people the Torah. But at the end of the day, Aaron was the one who was totally involved in the daily life of the Jewish people. When there was a husband and a wife who sadly had disagreements, when there were people fighting, it was Aaron who went out of his way and brought peace. In the DNA of a kohen, of a priest, is the attribute of mercy, of Rachmanis. The Torah is telling us, if you're going to send out a Jew from the camp of Israel, I need a kohen. I need someone who's kind. To be a scholar is very important. To know every detail of Judaism is very, very important. But to banish someone, to have a person who's humiliated and leave the camp of Israel, for that you need to be a descendant of Aaron. For that you need to have within your very fiber the love, the passion, the total non-judgmental quality of Aaron. So my friends, it is Aaron, his descendants, who will make 100% sure that this person is in fact impure. It is Aaron and his descendants who, when the time is up, will go out of his way, will not procrastinate to bring that Jew back into the camp of Israel. Now let's say that someone, a great sage, says the guy's impure. And he says something which is, according to his opinion, accurate. If the kohen, if the priest, if he does not actually say he is impure, this sage has slandered this person with the blemish. To take a Jew to that the Jewish people are in fact need to be banished. This is a very powerful lesson. I want to share with you something which I believe can save marriages, something which I believe can truly bring peace where there is, sadly, a disagreement. It is so powerful. It is revolutionary. You see, in Parsha Noach, in the Torah section which speaks about Noah after the flood, it says that the other two sons of Noah, they went into Noah's tent, and what happened was Ham, had done a terrible thing to Noach. And Ham, left Noach in a very disgraced, in a very compromised situation. Now the other two sons, Shem and Yafes, they walked into the tent of Noah, and it says they walked in backwards. They didn't see the nakedness of their father. And the question is, obviously, if you walk in backwards, you're not going to see the nakedness of your father. So why is it that the Torah uses what seems to be a redundant word? They didn't see the nakedness of their father. Of course they didn't. They walked in backwards. The Torah, every letter and every tug, even every crown of the letters, has a meaning in the Torah. So why would the Torah write something which is very superfluous and unnecessary, seemingly? The Rebbe answers this amazing question with a saying of the Baal Shem Tov, the founder of the Hasidic movement. The Baal Shem Tov says, if you see bad in someone else, that is a reflection of the bad which is in you. And there's a very long explanation by the Rebbe in Chelik Noach, in Parshas Noach, the 10th book of Likutei Sichos, Noach Beis. And the Rebbe explains, what does the Baal Shem Tov mean? If I see that someone stole, the Baal Shem Tov says, if I see bad in someone else, it's a reflection of the bad which is in me. If I see someone steal, does that mean that I'm a thief? The Baal Shem Tov says you're looking into a mirror and you are guilty of that sin because you have it within you, that sad inadequacy. But how is that true? If I see someone lie, does that mean I'm a liar? If I see someone murder, does that mean I'm a murderer? What's going on? How do we understand what the Baal Shem Tov said? And the Rebbe explained so beautifully. The Rebbe says that there are two parts to a sin. There is the person, and then there is the action. When a person, by divine providence, witnesses someone else committing a sin, what do they see? Do they see a bad person or do they see a bad action? Everything has to be for a reason. Everything has to be divine providence. If even a leaf fell off a tree, it didn't just fall off the tree. It fell off the tree for a purpose. It's hashgacha pratis, divine providence. God is not playing dice with the universe. Everything is deliberate. There is meaning and purpose. God's graffiti, here I am, God was here, is written throughout all of creation. Everything that happens, God is active in creation. Hashem, God is recreating the world every single moment. If I see someone do something wrong, there's a reason that I saw it and someone else didn't see it. Now, it all depends what I see. If I see a sin and I don't judge the person, I don't say the person's bad, I just see that my fellow Jew has done an error. Then the reason why God is telling me that I saw this mistake is so that I can fix it, so that I can go with love overflowing from my heart and tell my friends, please understand that we can fix this mistake. You are important to me. I'm not judging you. God made me see this mistake so that I can indeed help you. But if I confuse my fellow Jew with the actual sin, He's a bad person. He's evil. He's no good. You know why I see an evil person? Do you know why I see someone who committed a sin? Because I have my own demons inside me. I am, in fact, sadly, projecting my inadequacies on the other person. I see a bad person because I have bad within me. Comes along the Baal Shem Tov, the founder of the Hasidic movement, and he says, you were in a situation where you saw a mistake, you judged the person, you called them bad. Why? Because you should understand that you have this mistake, not perhaps on the same level, but to a certain degree, you are guilty of this very same mistake. And therefore, the Baal Shem Tov's words are so accurate. I can relate to the other person. I can label the other person. I can judge the other person. You know why? Because I relate to the mistake that you have made. It is a mirror reflection of the inadequacies which are within me. My friends, everything depends what you see. When the two sons of Noach walked in backwards, not only did they walk in backwards, they didn't see the nakedness of their father. They are not there to judge. They are not there to adjudicate and be the jury and say, guilty dad, you're a shikah, you're a drunk. Of course Chum did this to you. It's all your fault. If only you could have handled yourself in a better way. No, that's not their job. Their job as devoted children is to cover their father's nakedness. Their job as children is to fix the problem, not to judge the problem. Of course there's a problem. No one's saying that Noach should have got shikah, should have got drunk. But my job is to help the individual, not to be the judge and jury and create a verdict, cast a verdict on the person and proclaim him guilty. The action is guilty, but the person is separate. The person is pure, in need of help. Do you know how many marriages would have been saved if a person chose to adopt this particular approach? Do you know how many families wouldn't be broken apart if people only wanted to fix the problem, to cover Noach's nakedness, not to proclaim Noah a shikah, a drunk? My friends, this is the meaning of this week's Torah portion. The Kohen, the priest, is obsessed with trying to help this poor individual who is in need of assistance. It is not the job of the Kohen to judge the individual. Of course, if he's impure, if the shades of saras indicate that there is a sickness, he needs to be banished from the camp. But also, we need to understand and we need to appreciate that be a Kohen first and foremost. Of course, you have to keep the laws of the Torah, but show empathy, show consideration, show concern for the inadequacies of your brothers and sisters. Remember the humiliation that they will have to endure. And this is very powerful. The Torah wants a Kohen. The Torah wants an individual who exudes mercy, kindness, empathy. First and foremost, you need a Kohen. Of course you need a sage. Of course you need a Talmid Chacham to be the one to say, if it's saras, if indeed the individual has a problem, but the kohen is the one who makes the proclamation. The kohen is the one who lobbies for his brother or sister to come back into the camp of Israel, to be accepted by everyone else. That is the kohen. The kohen does not pervert the truth. The kohen has the individual first and foremost deep within his heart and carries out with tremendous devotion and dedication to save the scorn and the shame that will be cast upon this individual. It is the kohen who will exhaust all his resources to try and find possibly there is an opportunity to bring the person back into the camp of Israel. That's what the Torah is saying. If you want to condemn someone, be a kohen. Do it because there's an inadequacy which you want to fix. Not just say, Noah the drunk, he brought it all upon himself. You be the one to show love and not to be judgmental and to bring your fellow Jew back into the camp of Israel. Incredible, incredible words. This is the role of the Chabad Shliach, the Chabad emissary. Torah, the laws which God gave us, they cannot be compromised. They are Torah. That's all there is to it. But with love, with dedication, trying to find a way to bring Jews back into the camp of Israel while not compromising the principles of the Torah. That is what we must strive to do. You know, when I grew up in Melbourne, Australia, I had a rabbi, Rabbi Gordon, and he always used to say, it says in Pirkei Avos, Have don es kol odom l'chaf schus. You should judge every person favorably. And he used to say, Pirkei Avos, ethics of our fathers, are very deliberate. It doesn't say, Have don es kol meisel l'chaf schus. Judge every action favorably. It says, Have don es kol odom l'chaf schus. You should judge each person favorably. You don't know why that person is in that situation. You don't know why that person perhaps succumbed to his or her temptation. You don't know. That's not your job. You have to judge the person favorably. You have to understand that every person is different and every person has their own individual challenges. Our job, our mission is to cover Noah, to help Noah, to bring the Jew back into the camp of Israel. That is our mission and our purpose. If you look in the Kli Yakar is an incredible commentary on the Torah. He gives 3 reasons why a kohen, why a priest has to be the one to proclaim the person pure and impure. And he says the first reason is, it's not the only reason why the individual was banished from the camp, but one of the reasons is because of Lashon Hara, of evil speech. The kohen is the man of kindness. The kohen is the one who exudes Rachmanas mercy. It is Aaron, as we explained. He is the one who committed his life, who was Roidef Shalom, who ran, who pursued after peace. And therefore it is the kohen who is the antidote to this baseless gossip. That's the first explanation he gives, why a kohen is needed. Second explanation is, often people speak or do something ill of someone else because they are haughty. Rashi says, he brings from the Talmud, that part of the atonement is to bring a bird, because a bird twitters. A bird is always talking. And sadly, through inadequacies, through a person being full of conceit. And the Kliyaka says that in this process, you had to use a cedar tree as well as moss. A person could be very conceited and tall and dominant like a cedar. But you know what? This sickness brings a person to be humble like moss. Aaron was more humble than anyone else. By Avram, he says he's on one level. But when it comes to Moshe and Aaron, he says, V'anachnu ma, what are we? We don't even exist. We're not dust and ashes. We're nothing. V'anachnu ma, we are nothing. When you have humility of Aaron, then you don't commit ill against anyone else. That is the second reason. The antidote is Aaron. And the third reason is that many times people have a desire for beautiful houses, for beautiful clothes, for money. And this is what motivates them. Materialism motivates them to do things which are not good. And we know in this week's Torah portion, not only the person, but their homes and their garments can be full of saras and inadequate and proclaimed impure. Comes the Kohen, a man who belongs to a tribe who has no portion in Israel, a man who has to be sustained by the gifts of his fellow Jews. Very powerful lesson. It is the Kohen who is not materialistic. It is the Kohen, the teacher who can, by his very mere existence and example, impart a lesson of not being hedonistic, of not being totally intoxicated by the veneer of a lavish society. That is the Kohen, a man of purity, a man of humility, and a man who teaches by his very example that materialism simply does not work. You know, when the Jewish people left Egypt, it says the Jews should go and they should borrow silver and gold from the Egyptians. What do you mean borrow? And the Talmud explains that if you did an accounting of how much the Jewish people worked and slaved in Egypt, even all the gold and silver and diamonds and everything they took out of Egypt will not be enough compensation for the Jewish people and for what they were enslaved in Egypt for. My friends, do you know why the Torah says borrowed? Why borrowed? Take compensation. The Jewish people were slaves. Generations of Jews were slaves. Borrow. You know why God's teaching the Jewish people? Whatever you have, whatever you own, whatever you have to write down and on your tax statement, even though you worked hard, even though you toiled, even though you made very wise business decisions, your business acumen is incredible, impeccable. You created this wealth. The Torah is teaching us, hey, just remember, please remember that it's only borrowed. Everything belongs to God. Everything is because Hashem, God, had Rachmanas, had mercy on us, and blessed us with this physical bounty. Never, never take anything for granted. And it is the Kohen, it is the priest who exudes goodness and kindness. You know, Kohanim, priests, they blessed the Jewish people. And at the end of Masechta Sota, at the end of the tractate of Sota, it speaks about what do you do if you have a separation. The Kohanim, the priests, are the ones who bless the Jewish people. What do you do? And the Talmud goes into a bunch of questions. If you have a tall person standing in front of a short person, it says it's not a separation. What do you do if you have a wall? That's not considered a separation. Even if you have a wall made out of steel, that's so iron. It's also not a separation. If a person, when the Kohanim are blessing the Jewish people, they can't turn their backs to the Kohen. That's a problem. And Tosfos, one of the commentaries, he starts talking about a Gemara in Brachos. It says over there that after the destruction of the temple, this is what the Talmud says. It says after the destruction of the temple, there is a wall which separates the Jewish people from their Father, from their God in heaven. And Tosfos talks about this. And the Piskei Tosfos in the back of the Talmud, he writes that the only time there is no separation between God and the Jewish people is when the Kohanim, the priests, bless the Jews. During this time, we are immune from any separation whatsoever. It is not the Kohen who is blessing the Jewish people. It is God who chooses the humble priest. And when the Kohen, when the priest, Aslet and Nimoy, when he blesses the Jewish people, he does it like this. If you go into a Jewish cemetery, you see this symbol on a metzeva, on a tombstone. It means that the person, the individual, is a priest. Why is it that this is the symbol of a kohen, of a priest? And it's explained that there's a crack. The blessings don't come from the priest. The blessings come from God. The kohen, the priest, the man of peace, he is the conduit for the blessings to come to the Jewish people. And when the Kohanim bless the Jewish people, says the Piskei HaTosfos, there is no separation because the Kohanim are pure and the blessing flows ever so freely from the Kohanim, from the priests. There is a beautiful Hasidic saying. The word for plague is negative. If you take these three letters, Nun, Gimel, Ayin, and you rearrange them, you get the word Eineg, pleasure. My friends, you can have a plague. We don't want the plague. We want everything to be revealed good. We don't want people to suffer. We don't want anyone to be sick. But once the sickness has sadly come to us, once people are quarantined, once people have to be divided and social distancing, as we spoke about, has to be enforced. My friends, we need to know that it is our opportunity, even when we are sent out of the camp. There is the goyim, there are plagues, there are things we don't understand. Life is not the way it used to be. The person's banished from his home, he is out of the camp. But guess what? It is up to us to dig deep. It is up to us to go into the recesses of our hearts to spend more time with our loved ones, to understand that things don't just happen. That now we are in a certain situation where we have to spend more time with our loved ones. The average American husband and wife spend 27.5 minutes a week. Gewalt! 27.5 minutes a week speaking to each other about matters unrelated to domestic chores. Now, my friends, we are blessed to live around only our loved ones, to spend quality time, to understand, to talk to appreciate, to be sensitive to the ones who are our immediate family. Take the nega, take the plague, rearrange the letters, see beyond the veneer. And you know what? Just like the story is told when the Jewish people came to Israel, and there were plagues on the homes, and the Jewish people had no choice. They had to go to the Kohen, and the Kohen proclaimed these homes impure. And according to Jewish law, the homes had to be demolished. But the Jews found in these homes the hidden treasures that the owners thought they were going to come back to their homes and reclaim their homes and their treasures. But it was hidden within the home. And it's the Jewish people who saw a plague, who looked, thanks to the Kohen, beyond the surface, and were able to extract riches and gold and bounty. My friends, all of us should take the nega. We should take the plague, and we want to banish the plague. But we have to take what we have and dig deeper. And when we do, we will be left with the letters Einig, Ayin, Nun, Gimel, which spell pleasure, joy, celebration. We are coming into the month of Iyar. The month of Iyar stands for Ani Hashem Rafayecha. I am your God who heals you. Hashem will send us blessings. Hashem will send us total recovery. Iyar is the only month in the entire year which has a mitzvah every single day of counting the Omer. When we count the Omer, we try and improve ourselves. We try and soar above our animalistic tendencies. That's what Sfiras Omer is all about. There is only one month in the entire year that every single day is permeated with another meaning, another opportunity to refine ourselves, to look beyond the veneer of our daily lives and see the treasures, see the beauties that are hidden beneath the walls of our homes. I want to wish you all only happiness, only help, only revealed good. Ani Hashem Rafayecha. I am your God who heals you. God should heal all of us. God should heal the broken hearts of our people. We shouldn't judge people. We should use this as an opportunity to fix mistakes. Why they have this fault, that's not my business. My business is to help them and to bring blessings, treasures, einig to the world. Shabbat Shalom. Hashem should give us all revealed good. with the ultimate blessing of the coming of Mashiach very speedily, because the world has suffered far too much.